Hi, everybody. It's Ken Iverson again in Kent, Washington, USA, just outside of Seattle, southeast of Seattle, in the continental United States, the Great Pacific Northwest. Uh, I just recorded a segment. Today is Thanksgiving Day, 2010. What is today? Today is the 25th, September 25th. For those of you outside of the United States listening to this, we celebrate Thanksgiving on or on uh, November the fourth Thursday in November every year, and we've been doing this for forever. And the idea being that we are thankful for what we have, the roof over our head, the food in our stomach, and everything else that we have in this country. We are blessed. But believe me, we are blessed. I'm a poor person. I live on $720 a month. And I apologize when I say that to you who are listening, because that sounds like a lot of money. It's not in the United States, but it sounds like a lot of money. And we are blessed in this country, and we don't know it. We are too stupid to know that. No, not stupid. I shouldn't say that. We take it for granted, the blessings that we have in this country, the food and the clothing and the houses and the cars and the schools and the hospitals. We just take it for granted. And believe me, there are parts of the world, I've been around the world, and there are parts of the world where they don't have schools and hospitals like we do. They don't have food like we do. They don't have clothing like we do. They don't have cars. They don't have houses. Our economy went bust here on September 16th and 17th. It was called TARP, Toxic Asset Relief Program, or something like that. And that was, by the way, that was under the watch of George W. Bush. That was a month and a half or two before Obama was even elected president. So don't tell me Obama. Don't cry to me about Obama and how he's messed things up. Obama is trying to straighten things out in this country, and in my opinion, he's doing a heck of a job. It took 8 years for George W. Bush to drive the economy into the ground. He had two wars that were unfunded. They weren't even figured in the budget, but he bankrupted this country with two wars, and then tax cuts for the rich. And now the Republicans were elected. That's no secret. The Republicans were elected. They took over the House of Representatives in last November 2nd, just earlier this month, and they have promised to do several things. One is to repeal health care reform, which I think personally is the greatest piece of legislation since the passage of Medicare and Medicaid back in 1965 in the Johnson administration. That's my personal opinion. And I'm an Obama Democrat. I'll make no bones about it. I love President Obama. I do not love the war in Afghanistan or in Iraq. I do not. That's where I get off. You would be perfect, President Obama, if it weren't for those two wars. Uh, just to give you an idea of how strongly I support Obama, and Obama knows about me. I don't think I'm being egocentric when I say that. He knows my name, and he sent numerous letters to me and the other OFA members, Organizing for America. That's the name of the Obama continuation of the Obama campaign from 2008. And our agenda is to elect those who support President Obama's agenda, and to recruit other people to support his agenda. That's the whole purpose of OFA, Organizing for America. David Plouffe is a genius. Get his book. He's a genius. He organized the campaign in 2008, primarily targeting younger voters. And he asked us, the OFA members, this in this election, the midterm elections, what we thought would be a good strategy. And that was a couple of years ago. And we told him we should target the young voters again, the minority voters, the Hispanics and the blacks and minority voters, people who hadn't voted for the first time. Believe it or not, I encountered, when I was out canvassing from door to door in the election, I encountered some young voters who were in their 70s, first time they had voted. and that's what Obama did. He inspired people, and he still inspires me. The war in Iraq does not inspire me, or in Afghanistan either, does not inspire me, but he is the greatest thing since John Kennedy. I feel politically relevant for the first time since John Kennedy was president, and that was in 1963. And I would love to sit down with President Obama someday and talk with him about the early civil rights movement in this country, the American civil rights movement, because I was 20, and I went to Mississippi with 4 other students in a car in a station wagon. We drove from Palo Alto, California, from Stanford University, where I was a student when I was 20, to Jackson, Mississippi, and this was just over 47 years ago. And we registered blacks to vote in Jackson and Yazoo City and in Greenville and other cities in Mississippi. And we went. I spent an afternoon. I spent a day with a real American hero called John Lewis. John Lewis is a black man. He was a little bit older than me, I think, and he was the chairman of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and I was a member of SNCC at that time. And John Lewis was beaten up something like 40 or 45 times during those days of the early civil rights movement. They used him for a punching bag, and he took it, and now he's a longtime representative in the House of Representatives from the state of Georgia. He represents Atlanta, and John Lewis is a hero. He's a true American hero. And there were many others. Harding Carter Sr., Harding Carter Jr. There was Aaron Henry. You can't mention that time, that era in American political history without mentioning Aaron Henry. He was a black man. He's a legend in Mississippi. He ran in a mock election for governor. In those days, black men could not run. They were not on the ballot, and so we had a mock election, which means that it wasn't a real election, but it didn't count. But we voted for him anyway. And the purpose of the Stanford students and the students from Yale University back in New Haven, I believe, back in Connecticut or wherever it's from, the purpose was to show that the black vote could be an influence, a powerful influence in the South, particularly in Mississippi, because Mississippi was about the worst of the worst. They kept blacks from voting by having what was called a poll tax and a literacy test. And the literacy test might involve, for example, and this is no lie, a literacy test might involve telling the person who signed you up how many jelly beans there was in a large jar on the table where they were registering to vote. You had to tell them the exact number of jelly beans, and of course that's ridiculous. Another thing, they would have you quote Shakespeare. That was one example. The soliloquy by Hamlet, I believe, to be or not to be, or is that Macbeth? I guess that's Hamlet. And to be or not to be. Hell, I graduated from one of the finest universities in the world, and I studied Hamlet extensively when I was in college. I did a paper on it, and I couldn't quote that soliloquy, and nobody could. That was legal in those days. With the passage of the 2 civil rights bills in 64 and 65, one having to do with voting and the other having to do with accommodations, that was changed forever. And now there are people like Andrew Young and John Lewis and many others who have been elected in the South, and now it's a commonplace. So anyway, so I'm an Obama Democrat. I make no bones about it. I'm an Obama Democrat. I love President Obama. I was registering blacks to vote when he was 2 years old. I was 20 years old. And I'd love to sit down with him someday. He knows who I am. I am the president and CEO of an organization, an event called Peace Day. PEACEDAY, all capital letters. And the first annual Peace Day was in this hometown where I'm sitting right now, in Kent, Washington, at the high school where I and 6 of my brothers and sisters graduated from, my stepbrothers and stepsisters and half-sister and real sister. graduated from, or my blood sister, not my real sister, my blood sister, and we 4 of my nieces also graduated from Kent Meridian, and it was a 350-seat venue, and we had the first annual Peace Day was on July 10th of this year. It was right after the weekend after the 4th of July, and I think it was a huge success. We had a band called Tupelo. Go to Tupelo is in Mississippi, is where Elvis was born. Elvis Presley was born, and Tupelo. You go to tupelomusicband.com, and the music we go on that site was the first music that Tupelo played. The live band played on Peace Day. It was called "Leaving Paradise" from their CD by the same name. And so the first speaker was a woman, Jennifer Halai Simon, Jennifer Simon Halai. I always get that wrong. Simon Halai. She was in Turkmenistan in the Peace Corps, and she was recruiting for the Peace Corps on that night, on Peace Day night. And we were up against the of all things, we were up against the dragon boat races. In Kent, there's a festival, a summer festival called Cornucopia Days. And for 35 years, Cornucopia Days have been going on, and this was the first annual Peace Day celebration, so we're the new kids on the block. And at 7 o'clock on July 10th was Peace Day, and also at 7 o'clock on July 10th, this last July 10th, was the beginning of the dragon boat races on Lake Meridian. And they've been around for many years, and we didn't stand a chance. We had a pretty good turnout, but next year it'll be at a different time, maybe a different place, but a different time anyway. I can't compete. We can't compete with the dragon boat races. So we got good press. I wrote an article for the Kent Reporter, a nice little newspaper here in the city of Kent. Laura Pierce, the editor, asked me to write an article about myself, and I did. And it appeared, I believe, on Friday, and Peace Day was on Saturday. And I had a gentleman, I forgot his name, Joe something, a gentleman and his wife, his disabled wife, come to my apartment where I'm sitting right now as I'm recording this, and give me a check. I think it was for $50 or $75, 75 I believe, for Peace Day. And Joe is an older gentleman, and his wife she had a stroke, and she's a little worse for wear, but it was touching to me that they would do that. I've appeared before the Kent City Council several times for Peace Day, and they know who I am, and President Obama knows who I am. He called, he didn't call, but Christina Brody from his office called. President Obama asked her to call and wish us well in Peace Day. I don't remember exactly what she said, but I said that I would write a letter to President Obama telling him what happened at Peace Day, how it went, and I haven't done that yet. We're editing James Starling of Starling Productions, a 22-year-old young man who was a videographer that night, along with 2 of his classmates from the Seattle Art Institute of the Art Institute of Seattle. Videotaped the whole 2-hour program. And I mentioned Jennifer Simon Halai was the first speaker. After her was another segment by Tupelo, 15-minute segment, and then was Carla Trujillo, who is a young lady from the Institute for Community Leadership just east of Kent here. Carla Trujillo read Alice Walker's poem, "Why War is Never a Good Idea." And I took that to mean why war is never a good idea. That's relevant right now. War is not a good idea. Military exercises in the Yellow Sea off of the coast of Korea is not a good idea. It's one idea, but it's not a good idea. Anyway, that was Peace Day, and then we had Sasha Rabkin, also from the Institute for Community Leadership, gave a rousing speech. He was very good. And then the last speech was by Soren Sorensen, my friend Soren.